So the good news, Xander Bogaerts, he is expected to return this weekend, hopefully tonight, against the Atlanta Braves Padres final series before the All-Star break. So what does this mean for the Padres? Well, you get back one of your star players. He's one of the guys that's making over $200 million on the team, multiple-time All-Star, multiple-time World Series champion, obviously the experience, all that. You get him back. And I think the big thing is the depth that this will in turn make for the Padres. It will make the Padres a better team, obviously, getting Xander Bogaerts back. Is Donovan Solano having a surprisingly solid year for the Padres? Or maybe it shouldn't be that surprising if you've watched Donovan Solano. Yeah, he is. Is Luis Ariz? Is it great to have Luis Ariz in the lineup? Yes, it is. But with these matchups here, this allows for Luis Ariz, if he is struggling against left-handed pitching, which I believe he is. If you go look at his splits this year, against righties, he's hitting 322. Against lefties, he's hitting 286. Now, 286, that's still a good average for most guys, but that's not a good average for Luis Ariz's standards, right? And I believe I was listening to the Padres Roundtable on 97.3 The Fan yesterday, and Craig Elston was talking about how I think Ariz is hitting more around 240 recently against left-handed pitching. I don't remember off the top of my head how many games it was, but like those type of matchups where you have Luis Ariz, who now is going to be the DH for the most part. Maybe you have Ariz sit and he can be a contact bat off the bench, and you can pick where you put him late in the game to pinch hit for someone in a matchup that is favorable to him. And you can have Donovan Solano DH that game if a lefty's on the mound, because you get that left versus right matchup. And if Bogaerts wasn't here and he wasn't in the lineup, then you'd be having Cronenworth at second, Ariz at first, and Solano in the lineup. And so Ariz would have to be facing those guys. This is not some bad hitter that we're talking about here with Luis Ariz. I'm just saying, I'm just bringing up, hey, there's that. There's the defense aspect as well, where Xander Bogaerts, he's still a capable defender, and we've seen it. Luis Ariz has struggled a little bit defensively, and we know he's not the best defensive player. Looking at Jake Cronenworth, I think that he is valuable at second base. I think he's valuable wherever you're going to put him on the field. So it's not really that. It's more for me having Luis Ariz not have to play the field every day. And you can have Manny at third, Kim at short, Bogaerts at second, and Croney at first. And, things can happen, right? If Bogaerts was still hurt and there was an injury, you're in trouble there, right? But Bogaerts is back. And so if there is an injury, if something happens, you do have that a little bit of depth there on the bench there, that extra guy that can come in. There's additions that could happen before the trade deadline. I don't anticipate those additions being on the infield, but, AJ Preller, we'll see what happens. He's always entertaining. But what this does for the Padres lineup is it makes it better. There's some that will bang on Xander Bogaerts for overall his 2024 season. It's been disappointing. But if you remember, and I know some will say, well, it was a soft 7 or 8 game hitting streak, whatever it was. But what I care about most, I don't know about you guys, but what I care about most is the results. Are you helping the team win? Are you getting on base? Average is not everything, but that is a result. Are you getting a hit? And therefore you're getting on base, creating more base runners for guys behind you. Are you doing that? And Xander Bogaerts, he was starting to do that better before he ends up getting hurt there against the Braves. Now, we'll see if the power is going to be there for Xander. He just played. I watched his at-bats last night when he was playing with Lake Elsinore. He wasn't hitting the ball hard, but I'm not going to take too much into one Lake Elsinore game where he's facing a guy that he's never heard of. He probably doesn't have much information on that guy, and he's just trying to get his work in, right? But like I've said previously, he has the one-handed follow-through still, not the two-handed like he initially said he was going to do. But he was telling the media the other day that this is just who he is the one-hand follow-through. The shoulder is not an issue. So everything seems good to be there. Everything seems to be good there. Excuse me. And so that's great. And another thing about Xander coming back, what this means is it does give the Padres the luxury that if someone is struggling, you can have that extra guy, whether it be Donovan Solano or someone else, be able to come off the bench and give that guy some time and have a better matchup, have a better guy coming into that lineup. So if Bogaerts is struggling, they can, I mean, we've seen it, they can put Cronenworth at second. They can put Arise at first and have Solano DH and give Bogaerts a couple days. If Croney's struggling, if Kim is struggling, I don't think they want to put Bogaerts at shortstop for a long period of time, but there is that. Now, for Ha-Seong Kim, will he be traded? I don't think he will. You're not going to get a whole lot back from him, or for him, excuse me. And injuries, things could happen. And so you could say, well, we have the depth. Let's trade Kim. But again, what are you going to get back? Is it really going to help you more than having Ha-Seong Kim on your roster? And if an injury happens and you don't have Ha-Seong Kim, without Ha-Seong Kim and no injury, you have Bogaerts at short. When you just did all that to put him back at second base, you have Cronenworth at second, you have Arise at first, you have Solano DHing. What happens if there's an injury actually on the infield, not just with the guy that's DHing, and you have a big issue there? So I would keep Kim at this point in time. I know there's been some things that have been frustrating, and he's not having as good of a year as he had last year. But for me, it's not a whole lot of a discussion on whether the Padres should keep Ha-Seong Kim. I think the Padres, you have the luxury, you keep the luxury, if that makes sense, of having the amount of infielders that you have. That's what I would do. But Xander, hopefully he is going to be back this weekend, and I'm excited for it. Usually when he comes back from an injury, I know it's a very brief amount of time with the Padres so far, but usually when he comes back, he performs pretty darn well. So looking forward to it.